What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Work the Crowd podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dougie Fresh, and as always, I'm here with Coach Klucas, who had a fantastic day in sports gambling.
It was a great day indeed yesterday in the sports gambling world.
You want to tell people how much you won, or you want to keep that private?
We can keep that private, but I'll just say I just hit on.
He's retiring. That's what he's going to say.
No, I didn't win that much. I wish, but trust me, if I won that much, there'd be signs right now. But I pretty much just All-Star Saturday just put in a random bet for winners for All-Star Saturday's events, and then I did a random pretty much player prop for college basketball in it. They both hit.
Well, I'm excited for you.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
You know, that goes to show, don't be quitters and just keep gambling, all right? No, totally joking.
Gamble responsibly.
Yeah, gamble responsible. All right, so as we mentioned last week, so obviously no more NFL. This is prime basketball time. But we do have we're going to talk a little bit about Travis Hunter. And he's moving to a full-time cornerback role, doing part-time receiver, which we'll get into it, but we kind of both agree that he should have been doing that in the first place. We're going to talk about the NFL QB matchmaker segment. So that segment, Klucas is going to go through, and I guess you're going to pick your best fitting team.
Pretty much going to pick random teams that need a quarterback and who I think the best fits are.
Yep. And then we'll get into some college basketball. We're going to talk about Darren Peterson, who is about as a bipolar player as Kentucky basketball is as a whole. And then this general college basketball stuff. And then we'll talk about the awesome, amazing NBA All-Star weekend that people love to watch. So, and if you didn't know, that was sarcasm.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with Mr. Travis Hunter. I said we said this during the draft process. Like, listen, I'm never gonna tell you if you truly believe you could play both positions, go for it. Is it smart? No. But excuse me, I said it was easier when you look at the group of the league has never seen this influx of talent at the wide receiver position before. So, in terms of if you're trying to be the best. And when I say best, I mean like a collection, like an actual like before we've always had there's always been a 5 or 10 that have been really good. The rest of them have just been kind of meh. Now there's arguments for 15, 20 receivers to be some of the best receivers in the NFL. So, so it was easier for Travis Hunter if you're just trying to come in and say you're the best at said position. It was easier for him to come in and do it at corner than it would be for him to do it at wide receiver just because there's too many talented wide receivers. Now, you can make the argument and go, well, if there's so many talented wide receivers, then how could he be a great corner? He's always been a good corner. Yeah. So it's easier for him to come and master a corner position and maybe just be in a couple, trick play type situations on offense, where he could be explosive for a play or two. And that's what he should have been doing the whole time, we thought. He didn't. He decided he wanted to do both this year. And I think, I don't think they're going to be willing to admit it, but the injury that put him out for the whole year had a lot to do with how much stress he's putting on his body at a professional level now on both sides of the ball. And I think he's realized that. And I think finally the right guys are now in his ear. Like, yeah, dude, you gotta play corner, or you got to pick one at least. If you're going to play receiver, play receiver. If you're going to play corner. But let's pick one and let's, be, specialized in another. And smart, not just smart, just in terms of, I think he, just in terms of he could be a better corner than wide receiver. It's just smart for him to pick corner because I think that's his natural position. His natural position has been corner. His instincts as a corner are some of the best we've ever seen. And it's because he plays receiver is why he can be so good at corner. So he could basically run your route for you. So I think this is, in the long run, going to benefit, not only Travis Hunter, this is really going to benefit Jacksonville because now your defense instantly gets a little bit better with adding Travis Hunter to it. The defense was already very good last year or this past year. Now you're getting Travis Hunter to commit full time to the defensive side as a corner. Now you have a playmaker at the corner position where now if he gets his hands on the ball on an interception, he's likely to take it back anytime he touches it. And then, also, I think it also helps the fact that the Jaguars traded for Jacoby Myers. You have Brian Thomas Jr. Parker Washington had a breakout year this year with Jacksonville. Brenton Strange as a tight end had a breakout year. I think Travis also kind of looked at the wide receiver room, the pass catching room, is like, there's not really enough targets to go my way as well.
Yeah, I mean, for Jacksonville's my take on this is that kind of like you were saying already, with the longevity piece is crucial for him. If he wants to play a long time in this league, he had to pick one. He can't the amount of miles he's going to put on his body is not worth it playing both sides. So, and the biggest piece, like you just mentioned, is what benefits Jacksonville, because Jacksonville was in the playoffs and actually they started off a little slow, but turned it around and ended up being a pretty good team. That their biggest need was, or not the biggest need, but the biggest place he could be effective and make a difference is at that corner spot, because that receiving group is pretty good. So not that they can't have special packages for him to go out there and, do like maybe a few plays a game, get his fix in is what I would say. His receiver fix. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, having that playmaker on that side is a big deal, because if he's anywhere close to getting a hand on a ball, he's probably going to pick it off, because he's going to have better. He's going to have I would say he would probably have the best hands of most corners in the league. Yeah, I mean, good for him. Jacksonville is a little scary from us both being Colts fans. Jacksonville looks pretty good for the next foreseeable future.
It's not a good look, and this is kind of like when we saw when Jacksonville got that number 1 pick over the Jets a year, and we were like, Trevor Lawrence is coming in. We were like, fuck, dude. Like,
yeah,
we were already like, it's already tough enough as it is. Trying to find our own quarterback. Now we got to face Trevor Lawrence for the next, foreseeable future. But then for a while there, you kind of looked at Trevor and you're like, all right, well, he's kind of just shit in the bed. Then here comes CJ Stroud. And then you're like, oh, fuck, here we go again. Now CJ's kind of shit in the bed. And then Trevor just all of a sudden picks it right back up.
That's for me, that was coaching.
Yeah.
When you add Liam Cohen in there, we've seen Liam Cohen make quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, Liam Cohen is really the only reason Will Levis has a job or got a spot in the NFL. I mean,
right. So I think it's a match made in heaven. Trevor Lawrence is very talented.
Yeah.
And when you add the coaching in there to be able to pull out the playmaking, yeah, I mean, it sucks for us as Colts fans. Although we were there last year, and we just have to.
Yeah, we were right there. We just fell off. So speaking of that, part of the reason why they fell off. Let's talk about QB Matchmaker. So I have given Douglas a list of teams. He's going to read a team off the list. I'm going to tell you now I'm not saying that they are going to sign said quarterback, but if I was the general manager of this team, what would I do for my quarterback position going into next year?
All right, can I go random?
Yeah, you can pick whatever.
All right, let's start with the Jets.
All right, if I'm the Jets, I would try to call Arizona and make a trade for Kyler Murray. I think this is the lowest his value is going to be right now. So you probably don't have to come off. Your Jets have 2 first-round picks. You probably don't have to come off one of those first-round picks for him. You have 3 first-round picks next year. If you want to come off one of those from next year, you can. I know people will say, okay, well, why not just wait? The QB class is supposed to be stacked next year. Why not just wait? Well, low-key, the QB class is supposed to be stacked this year, too, and we saw how that panned out. So do you really want to take that chance of it, panning out potentially that way again? So I think you take Kyler Murray, you pair, the O-line has finally kind of figured its way out in New York now. So the O-line's not as big of an issue. So if you get somebody, Justin Fields showed you flashes last year. So if you get somebody that's maybe just a little bit better of a passer like Kyler Murray, who can also still scramble and do the other things that he does, and maybe just a change of scenery for him in general will be great for Kyler Murray. Now, the only thing I'd be worried about is just moving to cold weather in New York for Kyler. But, and I think you got to get I think that if you get Kyler, this for sure puts Aaron Glenn, even though it's only his second year, on you got to get it this year or you're gone, and they'll get somebody in there offensive minded to kind of help out Kyler and push this New York team to that next level.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, if I'm the Jets, I would take away all console gaming and PC gaming from Kyler Murray as well. To make
no
sure
Call of Duty for you.
But no, I think that's a great fit. I think the change of scenery like that is a good take. Yeah, that could be a good fit. But again, the Jets are going to be the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets are always going to jet.
Yeah. All right. So Kyler Murray, best fit for the Jets. Okay, let's go the opposite. Let's go Cardinals.
All right. So I think they should wait for next year for a quarterback. I think they kind of wait it out.
Start Brissett?
No. Actually, I would go. Well, you could go Brissett. You could re-sign Brissett. Now you got a new head coach and Mike LaFleur, not Matt LaFleur from the Packers, but his brother, Mike LaFleur, new head coach for the Cardinals, coming as the OC from the Rams. So we know that McVay tree tends to pan out pretty well.
It does.
So you've got something to work with. So I think you keep that veteran presence tight. So if you want to keep Jacoby, I'm all for that. I have Kirk Cousins. I think you bring in Kirk Cousins, who's ran that kind of similar style offense with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. You kind of work with, if you're the Cardinals, you got to make, are you going to just give up on Marvin Harrison after 2 years? Do you keep him? If you keep him, let's try to build this offense up. From the receiver, Michael Wilson just had a great year. You have Marvin Harrison. You have arguably the best tight end in football right now in Trey McBride. So you have the pieces on offense. Let's solidify the offensive line. Let's build everything. Let Kirk Cousins, Jacoby Brissett, whatever you decide to do right there. I say Kirk Cousins. Let them kind of run this offense this year, show that, hey, this can work with the right guy. And now you're bad enough in a position to where you draft a quarterback next year, and now you have something building off of going forward.
Yeah, I like the Kirk Cousins thing because I really think Kirk Cousins still has a little bit left in the tank. He wasn't a bad quarterback. And maybe a change of scenery like that and having that McVay tree, that with Mike LaFleur coming in.
Yeah, and it just didn't help for Kirk Cousins. Like Atlanta seemed like a good position for him to go to coming out of Minnesota.
Yeah, a lot of
and
weapons.
then they just up and drafted Michael Penix the same year they signed him. It just made no sense.
Uh-huh.
So it was kind of a bad sit. And then Cousins has to play that year with constantly looking over his shoulder at a top 10 pick sitting right behind him. And then he gets hurt, obviously. But even in the last couple games he played in this year for the Falcons, he played very well. Finally, he's the only guy I've seen make Kyle Pitts look like the all-star tight end that he's supposed to be. So,
yeah, again, this could be the same type of deal that we're saying with Kyler Murray. Maybe that change in scenery, new head coach coming in, that could be good for him. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go Vikings next.
All right, so let's go down this road again. I'm going Aaron Rodgers.
God, okay.
So JJ's clearly not ready. We saw that this past year. Now, I'm not just going to say – now, I think after 2 years – now, granted, he's only played one of them. After 2 years, you kind of going to get a grip of what he is. So I don't think he's really – but if you're just going to say, all right, listen, we're not going to trade JJ. Let's bring in Aaron Rodgers on a 1-year deal. Let JJ learn from Aaron for 1 whole year. And Rodgers, we showed in Pittsburgh, is still good enough to put you in a playoff spot. This Minnesota team is still built to be a playoff team for sure. And I give Aaron Rodgers, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison better weapons than what he had in Pittsburgh. And obviously a better offensive mind. We're going the whole Brett Favre route again, except we made a pit stop in Pittsburgh. And we make Justin Jefferson happy by getting him a quarterback that can actually get him the ball consistently. So we're able to keep him happy for an extra year. Hopefully JJ learns something, soaks something up from Aaron Rodgers for a year, and then we could try to go.
Yeah, ashwagandha.
Yeah, something. Something. But I think that'd be the smartest play for them is to take a guy like that. Kirk Cousins has been rumored to go back to Minnesota again. So I think something like that, just bring in an older guy that can put you in a position to win, but also teach JJ McCarthy how to play the game.
Okay, I'm going to put down here, I've been taking notes. I put Aaron Rodgers /OG.
Yeah.
So, okay, because I was going to ask, what if Aaron Rodgers decides to retire? Because that is, a possibility. And he can go hang out in like Joshua Tree and like do ashwagandha and all at once. So you're saying like someone like a Kirk Cousins, that OG, someone can be consistent to give Justin Jefferson a chance to be who Justin Jefferson should be.
Yeah, so you're not just out there just guessing what JJ McCarthy you're going to get week in and week out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, so you mentioned Aaron Rodgers as the first pick, so let's go Steelers then. If Aaron Rodgers is going to move on from them,
All right. So Pittsburgh struggled for the most part. Now, I know Jaylen Warren ended up with like 900 yards, and Kenneth Gainwell, who was more of a beast just in the passing game. This team struggled to run the ball a little bit last year, which is why it kind of forced Aaron Rodgers to kind of have to turn back the clock a lot of times and, be old school Aaron. So we got a new coach. We got a new regime in Pittsburgh. Okay. We're more offensive minded. We got to get we got to go, new. So let's go Malik Willis to Pittsburgh.
Oh,
get somebody.
Okay. I like that.
Get somebody with some legs that can help out in the run game. Make things, difficult for an offense with his ability to run. He's now shown you he can throw at a consistent level. He has DK Metcalf. You get another receiver maybe in the draft or something in there for him. He's still young enough to build off of going forward. And Mike McCarthy's a smart offensive-minded guy. So he's gonna put Malik Willis in good positions. So put him in there. He showed in Green Bay, obviously, because he played, in that game in Chicago in the freezing cold. He could play in the cold. So we know that, which is key. And also, if he does start to struggle a little bit in the early goings, you have a great defense behind him. So he has time to come in and kind of feel, get a feel and, get his groove. So I like Malik Willis to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Is there not a chance, because I don't know the relationship with Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, but is there a chance that Aaron Rodgers still stays in Pittsburgh?
There is, because that was the reason why Pittsburgh got McCarthy, was to try in hope of, keeping Aaron Rodgers. So there is a chance Rodgers could go back to Pittsburgh. But I also think if you opened that up and you gave Aaron Rodgers the Minnesota option where, hey, you have Jefferson, Addison, O'Connell, Hawkinson, and then, I think he would maybe think about that as well. And then, which would obviously open the door for Pittsburgh to look for somebody else.
Yeah, okay. I got you. All right.
And we saw what Pittsburgh looked like. Remember last year, Justin Fields, prior to injury, when they had that mobile QB, even with Mike Tomlin, it worked for a while. And so it does open up a lot of things in your run game. So
yeah, Mike McCarthy, I feel like everywhere he's been, he's had really good quarterbacks, so he knows what to do with them. If you get that up-and-comer like Malik Willis.
From Favre to Rodgers to Dak,
Yeah, you got a chance to make Malik Willis maybe into something. Because we saw, like you said, we saw flashes of it.
Yeah, because he goes to Green Bay. He kind of did the Sam Darnold thing. He goes to Green Bay. He learns how to play the position, throwing mechanics and everything under LaFleur in Green Bay. And now he's breaks off, and now what can we see? Can he actually put it together in a 17-game season?
Yep. Okay. All right. So next, let's go Dolphins.
Dolphins, I think Tua makes way too much money to get off of him, so I think you're stuck with him for a year. There is a clause in his contract where you can opt out of it, where you don't lose as much money next year. So I think you're stuck with Tua throughout this year, and I think if you're Jeff Hafley now in the Dolphins, and also Tua's not bad. Let's get this out of the way. He's not bad. No. He's just very injury prone. Every time he gets hit, you kind of like
he needs to wear a guardian cap.
So he's not bad. So he can win you games as of right now. But the problem Miami's going to run into later down the line is you're going to rock it out with Tua for another year because he makes way too much money. Nobody's going to want to take on that salary. He's going to be too good for you, as weird as that sounds, because he's going to put you in a position where you're not drafting high. And you kind of want to put yourself in a position where you're drafting high next year. So maybe this is a situation where we see Tua for the first couple weeks, and then they just decide, we're going to bench him, and Quinn Ewers is going to play the rest of the year, so we make sure we lose these games. So, but I think Tua is way too expensive for them to come off of. So I think, unfortunately, Miami's kind of stuck with Tua.
Okay. Yeah, they're paying him so much freaking money. And, yeah. Miami still has a chance to be halfway decent, I feel like, but
between Tua, if Tyreek Hill comes back and he's playing well, Jalen Waddle, you have Devon Achane, like you have pieces.
Offensively, they have pieces.
But also, how do they look now without Mike McDaniel there?
Well, we'll see. Maybe again, this is all about. I know we've already said this a few times, but maybe that change in scenery is
good for Tua.
What was needed. Yeah, I really think they need to get to it a guardian cap, though.
So. Yeah, they got to do something. Like, it's not even like it. Like, you don't even give him an option. You got to put it on.
Yeah, that needs to be in his next contract if he wants to keep playing. Okay, all right. I'll give you dealer's choice here. You want to go Colts? Or you want to go with Browns?
I don't care.
All right, let's go Browns. I want to do Colts last.
All right, I think the Browns. No shocker here. I think the Browns should rock it out with Shador. Listen, I say what you want about the. The attention he brings or whatever. Shador did show you flashes last year of being good. And I think if you give him not necessarily the keys to the city, but if you give him full confidence in saying, this is your team, like we're rocking with you, there's going to be no QB battle. If you want to have a QB battle, that's fine. I'm not saying no. Competition is always good. But for the most part, this is your job to lose. You're the starter. This is your job to lose. If you lose it in the offseason, it's on you. And I think you rock it out with Shedeur. I think the team has his back where the guys in the locker room want Shedeur. So that's always a plus. You got a new offensive mind and Todd Monken coming in and as your head coach who can maybe help Shedeur take that next leap. Browns have 2 first-round picks. I think those 2 first-round picks have to be spent on one an offensive tackle and then one a wide receiver. And get those things in with Monken, a new offensive system that maybe could benefit Shedeur. I think you have to roll Shedeur out. I think you got to give him a full season and see, do we truly have something that can be something here, or do we just draft a new quarterback next year? Because unfortunately, from after Mendoza, there's not a quarterback worth taking high in the draft this year. Oh, I would not waste it on like the 20 whatever it is, the 24th pick or whatever they have their second pick on like Ty Simpson. I wouldn't do it. Roll out Shedeur, and he's either going to be good enough to put you in a position to go, okay, we can build off this next year, or he's going to be bad enough to where you go, all right, Arch Manning it is. So
okay, yeah. I feel like the Browns are, again, this is kind of like the Jets. I think they're always going to be the Browns, but they're kind of in like that wait and see game because, I mean, like you said, Shedeur did show flashes of can be good, but he was out there playing with. It seemed like he was out there playing like I don't really give a fuck because I was a 4-string quarterback. Now you're just going to put
he was playing out there like he had nothing to lose at that point because you really don't. Brown's season was over, you know.
Yeah, but this can go one of two ways. Next season, you say, all right, it's your team. Now you have the added pressure. Does that make him look worse because he isn't playing with nothing to lose? Or does it say, okay, now I got to lock in, get my shit together, and start taking this serious?
Unfortunately, we don't know until you roll them out there.
But that's the whole point I was making. It's a wait and see game. They're in that. Let's see what happens with Shedeur, and I guess next year's class is going to be a little more. It's going to be better. So
now, listen, if you're the Browns, you want to bring in somebody like if you can bring in. I wouldn't say Kirk Cousins because I think if you bring in a Kirk Cousins, you're liable to start him, but. If you bring in, like, let's just say guys that are known back, like a Jacoby Brissett, if he comes back to Cleveland,
he could probably
or like a Marcus Mariota, where you go, these guys are here to help you. This is still your job to lose, but this is just our backup plan as a just in case.
Yeah, kind of like the like I said for the Vikings, kind of like that OG type role where you can have them mentor Shedeur a little bit, but say this is your team. Like he's here to help. If you do go down or something, he can come in and still win us maybe some games, but more of a mentoring type role.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. All right. So last but not least, our team, the Colts. I feel like you have a hot take for this.
A little bit. I got a feeling the Colts aren't going to re-sign Daniel Jones.
Ooh, really?
I just have, because here's
I feel like it would already been done.
Yeah. One, I feel like it would already be done.
Yeah.
Two, the problem with quarterbacks and Achilles injuries, we don't have a whole lot of data that backs whether they come back strong enough or not.
ACLs, yes, but not
ACLs. We have a lot of data. Achilles, there hasn't been a whole lot of those in quarterbacks up until recently. Aaron Rodgers had one the year with the Jets. Now, obviously, he came back and was fine last year, but obviously it also took out a lot of his mobility in what made him special. So I think the Colts look into that, and I'm not saying for me, I would just give up on Daniel. But I got a feeling they are. I think they're just not going to take the risk of signing him to that $33 million a year, and then him not being the same ever again.
So they just franchise tag him or something?
I think maybe they franchise tag him this year, see how he looks coming out of the injury, post rehab and everything, and then try to make a decision. But I think there is a play that they can make that would still keep the Colts in contention. And yeah, I understand the whole, okay, well, let's just roll Riley Leonard out there and see what we got. Okay, yeah, you could do that. You could roll out the idea of saying, hey, we still have Anthony Richardson. Let's try that out again.
God. Or
I'm going to go down the typical Colts tree, but it's a little bit better, I think. I think you re-sign Derek Carr for a year.
Oh, God, I don't know about that.
So I think Derek Carr has a lot of good football still in him. I think, yes, he is older, but I think he retired a little too early. I think the Saints were not a good situation for him to go to. No O-line, outside of Olave, no good receivers. You have a deteriorating Alvin Kamara. I think there's still good football in the right situation with the right coach and the right offense for Derek Carr. And I think this goes back to the same thing. Like we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We said, what about rolling out the idea of Aaron Rodgers in Indianapolis for a year?
I mean, yeah.
So I think this is the same thing. Let's roll out Derek Carr for a year. Worst case scenario, we have said for this offense, as long as you can just essentially be a game manager with this offense will work and you can win because you can put the ball in JT's hands. And hopefully now thinking going into this next year with Sauce back full time and everything, the defense should be a lot better. So you can lean a little bit more on your defense. Maybe you go out and, sign Trey Hendrickson. So you can lean a little bit more on your defense. So now all Derek Carr has to do is be a game manager. Now, Derek Carr obviously also is not a Phillip Rivers in terms of he just has a dead arm. Rivers can throw the ball downfield, which would benefit an Alec Pierce. Guys like Josh Downs can eat. Now, I don't know what you do with Pittman. I think they're just going to not give up on Pittman, but I think they're going to trade Pittman to come up on some salary. And then you have Tyler Warren and JT. I think Derek Carr can make the Colts right in that playoff spot. Again, I know it's not what Colts fans want to hear because it's the typical, oh my God, we just go get whoever the oldest guy on the market is and we just sign him. It's true. But I think if you're going to go that old guy route, Derek Carr's the best option.
Yeah, but I mean, how long has it been since he's played?
He didn't play last year. He retired officially last year. So he's only been out of football for a year.
Yeah. I mean, you saw what they did with Phillip Rivers, almost beat Seattle. It's damn Super Bowl champs.
I mean, gave the Super Bowl champs hell up until the final second.
Yeah. I think Phillip Rivers, though, is more of that was more of a mental battle. Like, yeah. He's very good at knowing football, which, again, sad thing here. I think the Colts need to keep Phillip Rivers on staff to just be there in the QB room. I'll be honest. I think this is the only one I didn't like that you had a pick for. I'm not sure. Maybe I just have bad heartburn from Derek Carr in the pet.
My thing is Riley Leonard. Yes, he looked good in the last game of the year, but it's like, can I trust that over the course of a 17-game season? And even if you are bad, so you go, okay, well, yeah, worst case scenario, bad. We don't have a first-round pick next year. So it does us no good to be bad. That's so we got to try to find the way to be competitive. So I think that's your best way. Now, another option you could go, because he's been in L.A. as Stafford's backup the last couple of years, maybe you could go like the Jimmy Garoppolo route. Again, just a game manager. But I'm done with the Anthony Richardson experiment. That's done and over with in Indy. If he goes somewhere else and he balls out, good for him. But the experiment in Indy is done. We can't have it anymore. At this point, it's just more of a distraction than it is anything else.
He needs to go to Pittsburgh. They need to trade him to Pittsburgh.
Now, but, and then again, Riley Leonard, if he's bad, it does us no good to be bad next year. We don't have a first-round pick.
Yeah, we're in such a bad spot.
So you have to try to be competitive.
Yeah, and I do remember, I did see, like, maybe it was this week or last week, that Derek Carr was on a podcast talking about I'm pretty sure he was saying that I would come back and play if the right opportunity was, given. But I mean, we got to see. Daniel Jones is still pretty young. I know you said Aaron Rodgers took away some of his mobility, but Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old. So, Daniel Jones is 30? Not even. So it's going to be a lot easier for him to come back off an Achilles injury than it is for Aaron Rodgers. So I think you still need to, you need to definitely franchise tag him for this year and make sure he, I don't know if he's going to be ready or not week one. That's the thing. But
so this is what I was talking about with we don't have enough data. So if you look at like notable, actual starting quarterbacks that have torn their Achilles in the NFL, there's only been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's Aaron Rodgers in 2023 with the Jets, Kirk Cousins in 2023 with his last year in Minnesota, which again, 2 old guys. Deshaun Watson in 2024 with the Browns. And then before that, the last starting quarterback to tear their Achilles was Vinny Testaverde in 1999. So, and then Marino did it in 93. Unitas experienced Achilles tears way back, when he was playing, and then obviously Daniel Jones. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have enough data really to go. Quarterbacks usually come back good off of this Achilles injury, or they don't come back the same, because either the quarterback has just been so damn old that we don't know whether it was truly the Achilles injury or he's just getting old, or if it's been the Achilles, or what. So but that's the problem, is we don't have enough data to say, this is why this quarterbacks come back off this injury this way.
Yeah. Colts are in a bad spot, man. We'll see.
If you go the old QB route, Kirk Cousins could be in play too, and I wouldn't be mad at that either.
Yeah,
because again, you with no first round pick, there's no benefit in just being bad. So I think that's why you can't roll out Riley Leonard.
Well, they also need to keep Pierce. That's a big thing too. There's some other spots on offense where we're gonna have to make sure we keep key pieces around.
And also, if Kirk Cousins were in play, that'd be great for Tyler Warren because we see what he just did for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that's going to be Steichen too, though, how he draws up things. But, I mean, it's going to be different depending on the quarterback that goes out there. But, I mean, Daniel Jones could be ready week 1. I don't know if he is going to be for sure, but he could be. So, it could not hurt. I think they do need to move off of Richardson. They don't even need him in the QB room, in my opinion. I mean, that dude can't even stretch right without getting hurt for 8 weeks.
It's embarrassing, honestly.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's a toss-up. That's a toss-up for me, the Colts are. But, all right, so I'm going to give a little synopsis here. I'm just going to read it off the teams again. Jets, you had Kyler Murray. Cardinals, Kirk Cousins. I need to wait a year. Vikings, we got Aaron Rodgers or another OG. Steelers, Malik Willis. Dolphins, Tua is too expensive to move off of. Browns, we got they need to rock out with Shedeur and see what he's got for this year. And then Colts, you got Derek Carr. So, all right. Let's move on to some college basketball here. Let's talk about some Darren Peterson.
Let's talk about Darren Kawhi Leonard Peterson.
Good comparison.
I don't understand what's going on with him. Allegedly, so I'm going to read the text that I sent you, and this was off of, and this when I sent you this about Darren Peterson. This was off of somebody was at the Kansas game sitting behind the Kansas bench, but it was like the scores table, but next to the Kansas, where somebody was sending a text about what was going on with Darren Peterson. Dude had zoomed in all the way and took a picture of his text screen, which that's kind of illegal. But either way,
is it?
It's private. I mean, whatever. However you want to look at it. It depends on how you want to look at it. But anyways, what the text read was Peterson went through warm-ups, went through shoot-arounds, went through early morning practice with Kansas prior to the game against Arizona. So this was from Monday's game against Arizona. Went through shoot-around, went through practice, didn't tell anybody that he was feeling sick, didn't say anything. And then, whatever time before the game, he went in there and told Bill Self that he was, having flu-like symptoms. He was sick. And the exact quote here was Bill Self told him, don't half-ass it if you're going to play or else just sit. And Darren Peterson said, fuck it, and I'm out, and left the locker room. So I'm not really sure what's going on. Now, Bill Self came out yesterday, right before their game against Iowa State, and was like, these rumors aren't true. Yeah, but again, this is a direct quote off a text message. So apparently, where there's smoke, there's fire. It comes from somewhere. Right. So, but I'm not really sure what's going on with Darren Peterson, because I literally just came on here a week ago praising this guy, or 2 weeks ago, praising this guy and how good he is. And he is an ultra good talent. But my goodness, you're doing Kawhi Leonard stuff at the college game.
If I'm an NBA team, I look at this, and this is severely hurting draft stock, in my opinion. Because do you really want to start dealing with this shit at the next level?
And not only that, as a rookie, it's one thing to do it with an established player like Kawhi. Later down the road, he starts doing. You're just like, all right, he's just so good at the NBA level that we just learned to put up with it. But as a rookie coming in, there's no way I would deal with that, especially if I'm a team like Indiana that has if they have a top 3 pick, that's pretty much an already established team that only really had a down year just because Halliburton's out, and they're going to be ready to compete again for a finals, with this top 3 pick and then Halliburton coming back. I'm not dealing with, a Darren Peterson saga at that point. If you're one of those people kind of like me, where you're kind of now on the, I'd said Darren Peterson was best player in class. Now I'm on the fence because of all this Peterson stuff. But if you're one of those teams that are like, I don't, it's 50-50 on AJ DeBanza and Darren Peterson, this would push me over to the AJ DeBanza side of things.
Yeah.
Because at least AJ's playing. AJ looks like he loves basketball. Darren Peterson doesn't look like he loves basketball.
I'm a big Cam Boozer fan too, though. I like Cam Boozer.
Well, yeah, which is fine. But I was just saying, if you're one
of those guys, it also depends
on
the team too.
Yeah, but I'm saying he just doesn't look like he likes basketball, and I'm not really sure what's going on. Now, kind of segueing a little bit into the college basketball part of this, even without Darren Peterson, Kansas upset number 1 Arizona Monday night.
Yeah, who just got dog walked by Iowa State, though.
Yeah, and then turned around with Darren Peterson. And got absolutely demolished at Iowa State.
Yeah.
So,
well, Arizona lost again, too, to Texas Tech.
Right, in overtime.
Yeah, Arizona obviously is going to be fine, but dropping 2 in a row. Big 12 is a tough conference, though. They're the best conference in basketball.
When we read off their schedule last week, we knew that there was no way that they were going to go undefeated throughout this. Yeah. Like, it's just a tough gauntlet to go through. But, yeah, Darren Peterson, kind of cutting off the Darren Peterson stuff. I agree with Bill Self. Don't half-ass it. If you're going to play. If you're going to come in and do this, I'm going to play a half and then sit. I can't do that as a coach because I have to know what I have going into a game. So either if you play, I need you to play and you're going to play the full game. If you're not, just sit.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's probably some frustration on both sides, the coaching staff and on Peterson's side, because if he's really dealing with muscle cramps like that, which we all know if you've played any sports, dealing with muscle cramps is not fun. But he's probably frustrated. He comes back, he's like, all right, I'm feeling good, but now I got flu-like symptoms. I don't feel like I'm going to try and play, but I don't know. He's probably giving coach a warning. Like, I don't know how much wind I'm going to have. And, that's just ultimately coach Self, if that's true. It's telling him just, basically just sit. I can't have you play half-ass. But I think Peterson's going to be fine. I think they'll figure it out. He didn't really play that well against Iowa State. I guess no one did on Kansas, but he only had 10 points. But he's got to be that guy. If you're going to be out there, they got to run the offense through him. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Kansas could be on hopefully they figure it out. But the Big 12 is so good, and the conference is so good. So the next 7-game stretch, they could lose a lot.
If we're going to dig in deep into the Darren Peterson cramp situation, let's remember one thing. When Paolo Banchero was at Duke and Mike Krzyzewski's last year, Paolo Banchero was kind of having the same issue where he was kind of cramping up a lot. And they found out that it was a sweat condition that he had where he was an extreme heavy sweater during it. Like and so every time he played, he was losing 7 pounds because of how much he sweat. So they put him on this like specific, obviously like water, like it's been like different types of like, like water and stuff like to help out. And it helped out and he was able to get through it. If Darren Peterson is truly having cramps, because at this point, I really just don't know at this point. I don't know if it's just he has cramps or if he's using it as an excuse. But if he does, this is something I would look into. Maybe this is a condition, maybe not necessarily that. Maybe you have a condition that causes you to cramp up like this.
And, there is. I'm sure there is.
So you need to figure it out now, though, before it becomes an even bigger issue at the pro level. Yeah. So, but all right, moving on to college basketball. So going through some of the top games since Monday, we recorded on Monday last week. And of course, right after we got done recording, after Doug got on here talking about how Michael Brown and Ryan Conwell were in a shooting slump, Michael Brown proceeded to go for 45 and 10 threes that night. So
yeah, I said they need to find their shot.
Well, he found it. Okay.
Yeah, Conwell had 31 that game too.
Yeah. So we talked about the Kansas beating Arizona at Kansas. Tuesday, we came out to find out that Caleb Wilson is out at least indefinitely with a broken left hand.
Yeah,
that night, they lost at Miami 75-66. Purdue upset Nebraska on the road, which kind of sounds weird to say. But, yeah, Wisconsin had 2 big-time wins this weekend. First, they upset Illinois 92-90 on the road. And then yesterday on the road, they upset Michigan State 92-71. Wisconsin kind of turning it on here at the last. This is where college basketball gets really exciting.
Yeah.
Because we see the teams that are like on that bubble that are really starting to make a push. And we see, the top teams, either they get way too comfortable or, they start making their push. But speaking of Iowa State, they came back and they beat Kansas. We talked about that yesterday. But they lost to TCU earlier this week. And this is where we talk about responsible gambling. Because listen. If I, as a gambler, had just seen Iowa State lose to TCU earlier in the week and then saw Kansas beat Arizona, it would have been an easy bet for me to just take Kansas over Iowa State yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's college basketball for you. Virginia Tech upset Clemson earlier this week, 76. Unfortunately, Kentucky was not able to get it done against Florida because somehow a team that shoots, again, the typical going against Kentucky that shoots 30% from 3 all year just has the best shooting game of their life against Kentucky. So, yeah. And also, I got something I got to get off my chest with that game. I don't remember who exactly was announcing that game. I think it was Jimmy Dykes, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think it was.
He kept talking all game. Now, granted, towards the end of the game, Florida did end up with the rebounding edge over Kentucky at the end of the game. But, and I'm trying to pull this up here so I can get the exact numbers. But throughout the course of the game, up until probably about the 8-minute mark of the second half, Kentucky was out rebounding Florida as a team, which is kind of hard to do. Florida is a very good rebounding team. Now, Florida ended up winning the rebounding edge 45-37. But like I said, up until about the 8-minute mark, Kentucky had controlled the boards over Florida. But all Jimmy Dykes kept talking about, Florida is just a historically great rebounding team. I mean, this is just, they just put on a clinic every night. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there the whole time, and I kept looking. I'm like, nope, we still have the rebound edge. Nope, we still have the, and I'm like, how do you just keep talking about how great this rebounding team is? They're getting out rebounded by us, and we can't rebound for shit. Like, so how historically great can you be if you're getting out rebounded by Kentucky? So that's just my only little thing right there. And then talk about Texas Tech beating Arizona, but there was a major story yesterday in the St. John's Providence game.
God, that was crazy.
Now, St. John's ended up beating Providence on the road by 10, but there was a little scuffle.
That's not little.
Sorry. Full-on fist fight happened. And in all honesty, I don't blame St. John's because Providence was playing dirty all game.
Yeah.
And Powell, who I didn't even know played for Providence, I recognized him just because of his hair from playing at Georgia Tech last year.
That's where I remember that guy.
Yeah. He's the guy with that stupid just hair. He's bald with a tiny hair patch on the back of his head. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, whoever told him, yo, dude, that's a great hairstyle. Needs to go on somewhere. But yeah, I mean, he pushed the guy in midair going up for a dunk, and then clotheslined him on another. I mean, it's just like, all right, at some point, all bets are off. I'm sorry. I am going to turn around and start throwing hands.
Yeah, I mean, the refs should have seen that. They should have controlled the game a little better. You knew that was going to be hostile because of who was the St. John's player. He played at Providence. That's why they were
Bryce Hopkins.
Bryce Hopkins. That's why they were. It was mainly him. They were like basically after this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the fans didn't help because Big East basketball is notoriously
physical.
Yeah, physical. And the fans know it, and they kind of play into it. Yesterday was unacceptable. Honestly, I really think from the Providence side. And I think Rick Pitino, arguably one of the best coaches of all time, he handled it pretty well. He basically told the media, he's like, don't even ask my players about this. The league's going to handle it. He was in there. I don't know if you saw, but he was in there trying to break up fights. I mean, He's 70-something years old in there trying to get in between these giant dudes.
So the play that started it was when Bryce Hopkins went up, and I thought he clotheslined him from behind. That's what started the fight. And then at the end of the game, and this is where I blame Providence's coaching as well, because after the fight, why have you not gathered your guys and is like, we can't do this? Like,
I think he did, and you can. I don't know if you saw the Providence coach after the game, but you could tell that he was pretty upset about it.
Well, yeah, but I'm relating to at the end of the game, St. John's going up for a layup, and I mean he gets pushed in midair after everything.
That ain't got nothing to do with the coaching, Klucas. You know damn well you've been in that situation. You're like, fuck this guy. I got another free shot. Come on now, you've been in that situation.
I just don't like it. I think that
I know it's horrible.
That says more about coaching than anything else.
The discipline. That's why Providence isn't good. That's why Providence isn't good.
Yeah, I just think that goes towards more that your team is just undisciplined.
But as soon as you get to that hostile environment like that, all bets are off. You'd have a hard time controlling your players in general. When it's heat of the moment, people don't listen to anybody. So, but it shouldn't happen. There's going to be a bunch of suspensions.
It led to a 7-player ejection.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, is it good TV? Good content? Absolutely. It's fun to watch. If I'm fans of Providence, that's why they were loving it. I mean, they basically were watching a hockey match. But, yeah, I mean, it's not good for college basketball, though. Providence needs to fix that shit. They should be running all day today.
So we talked about all the games. Obviously, we'll probably have a new number 1 next week with Arizona dropping 2, which will more than likely probably be Michigan.
Yeah.
Duke probably will follow right behind them, probably a number 2. So Well, actually, let me look at the.
I don't know. There's Duke's at 4, I think.
Yeah, Houston's at 3. So Houston will probably follow it too. Duke at 3. I think they'll just slide probably Arizona just at 4. I know they lost 2, but I mean, it's 2 very good teams. But I mean, the 5 team right now is Iowa State, who just lost a game too. So it's kind of like, so I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how you never know how the rankings are going to shake out. But yeah, I mean, we are what now 6 games left into the regular season, I believe.
6 or 7, yeah.
So Kentucky has 7 games. So yeah, we're right down the stretch of we're about to hit conference tournaments and we're about to hit the best time of the year.
Yep, March Madness, baby. And we obviously have our special episode for that too. So I do want to mention, just do a little Louisville plug here. Michael Brown yesterday. I know you talked about his game against NC State. He had 45, but yesterday he had 29. He had 5 steals, like 8 rebounds. I mean, the last 2 games have been on a tear. And if this is the Michael Brown that is a top 5 pick in the NBA, this is the Michael Brown that Louisville fans thought they were getting. And I know this is going to sound like an odd thing. A lot of freshmen hit this slump around this time because of, I think, a lot of it's conditioning and also just no experience getting ready to, playing this deep into a season. You're getting ready to hit tournament time, all that stuff. I think actually Michael Brown missing games is going to help him, because now he's actually just hitting his peak where he should have been, weeks ago. He missed 8 weeks or whatever with the muscle spasms on his back. If Michael Brown continues to play like this every game, which, you're not going to say he's going to score 40 every game, but you can clearly see he has to be on the court most of the game, and he makes the team better. If he's going to play like that, Louisville's going to be a dangerous team come March, because the whole team is clicking right now. So this is why we were preseason, top 10. And I'm very excited. Louisville's in a gauntlet right now, though. Not having Caleb Wilson playing for North Carolina, that does help a little bit. But we got to play at Clemson. We play at Miami. We play at North Carolina, I believe.
Yeah, so next game, Tuesday, you're at SMU.
This is another tough game.
Then you're at home against Georgia Tech. Yeah. And then at North Carolina, at Clemson, at home against Syracuse, and then at Miami.
It's tough. That's a tough stretch. Right now, I think Joe Lenardi had us as a 5 seed. If we win a few of those games, we either stay at a 5 seed, maybe could jump to a 4. I think the goal is a 4 seed. That's the highest I think you can go.
Well, I think if Louisville were to find a way to win the ACC, I think they could jump to a 3.
Maybe a 3 but you got to beat Duke. But Duke's too freaking good, I think, right now. Although, if Michael Brown, again, plays like that against Duke, those games are very different. So he's just now finding his groove, though. So as long as he keeps that going, Louisville's going to be just fine. So, yeah.
So from an exciting time to a not so exciting time, NBA All-Star Weekend. So I know we talked about this. If you've watched us, we talked about this last year, and the dunk contest and everything. And I'm not here to reiterate what we talked about already last year. I will say once again, the 3-point shootout was the most exciting thing about yesterday. And I did watch All-Star Weekend from start to finish yesterday, actually. The 3-point shootout was exciting. Not seeing Damian Lillard all year. You get to see him compete in the 3-point shootout, and really, truly gets to show you, even coming off an Achilles himself, that he's still doing this. Well, granted, all he's been doing is shooting, probably in a gym, but still seeing that he can do it at that level, not competing at all, and still be able to, essentially run/light jog and shoot at that level. Shows you how great Damian Lillard is. I mean, Devin Booker had that 3-point shooting contest in the bag. All he had to do was nail, I think, three of his last 5 Moneyball racks, and he just could not get one to go down in that last rack. Con Knipple showed us what he was made of. Poor Donovan Mitchell, I thought he was going to make it until Dame time showed up. But yeah, 3-point shootout was the highlight. Dunk contest sucked. I mean, it's just such a bad product. I mean, I don't know. You got to find a way to replace it. And I'm still going to go back to this. You got to have we got to incorporate some kind of one-on-one tournament or something. Make something exciting. But I will say, because yesterday it did bring a little bit of excitement to the crowd. I got into it a little bit. This Shooting Stars competition, I think you could do something with that.
Yeah, I did. I thought that was okay.
It's, if you don't know, it's what is it? Is it 8 spots? I think it is that you have to shoot from. It's like 8 or 7.
Yeah.
But I think it is 8, because I think you have to go layup, corner jumper, wing 3, top of the key 3, corner. Maybe it is 7. Either way. But I think there could be something with that if you could tweak it. a little bit. And so you had the all-stars, which was Scotty Barnes, Chet Holmgren. I forget who their like legendary player was off the top of my head. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Shooting stars competition NBA. So you had okay, yeah, Scotty Barnes, Chet Holmgren, Richard Hamilton on Team All-Star. Then you had Team Knicks, which was Brunson, Cat, Allen Houston. Team Cameron, which was Jalen Johnson, Con Knipple, Corey Maggette, which was an all Duke team essentially. And then Team Harper, Dylan Harper, Ron Harper Sr. Let's talk about Team Cameron, because I think that's where we could kind of, what if we turned the shooting stars into like a college thing? And so you had
got to bring college basketball into it to make it exciting.
But it brings new eyes to it, because it's like, if I could have, let's just say
there's enough teams that do that.
You've got enough diversity of players to where all you got to do is come up with 3. So it's like, you don't even have to have a legend really with it. So like, if you could do like, if you, whatever you want to, Team Cameron, for Cameron Indoor, like Con Knipple, Jalen Johnson, Corey Maggette. If you want to do legends, you could keep the legends. If not, you could just do the 3. But like, imagine a team of like, Team UK with, you could throw whoever out there, Jamal Murray, Karl Anthony Towns, and you want to throw a legend out there like Jamal Mashburn, or, if you want to just keep the, 3 regular player, or you could bring out like John Wall or DeMarcus Cousins or something for like that. But I think if you bring the college aspect to it a little bit, you could bring more eyes to that event. Or maybe if you just did it just by team, like you did like an actual pro team, so like you did like a Team Celtics, Team Lakers, Team Bulls, team, I think there's a way you could tweak that to make it a little bit more interesting for everybody.
Yeah, that couldn't work for Louisville though. Like it wouldn't. I don't know if you'd bring the college aspect. Like you got Donovan Mitchell, Chucky Hepburn, and then Terry Rozier, who's maybe going to jail.
Well, he's clear. He was proven not guilty. So like, think about it next year. Like you could have Michael Brown, Donovan Mitchell.
Next year, maybe, yeah. Next year. Right now, this year, it wouldn't have worked.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like you don't. But you're not bringing in like 15 teams, but like you bring in like 5 teams, and you just say, okay, well, we have a team Carolina, Team Duke, Team Kansas, Team Kentucky. It just I think there's a way you could tweak that in that.
There could.
Not you don't have to go the college route. Like I said, if you wanted to go like all-time Lakers, where you could go, all right, we have Shaq, Magic,
Shaq shooting shots.
I mean, but it's entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, he would brick everything.
But it's just like, you could do something like that where I think you could tweak that and make that event specifically a little bit more entertaining for everybody. Like where it brings in a lot of different eyes. People are like, if, take like the Bulls, for instance, they don't have an all-star. So it's like, oh, but Team Bulls is competing in the, maybe now I have a reason to watch it. I also think when you go back to the dunk contest portion, I think you got to go back, and I think there's got to be regulations against who can come in, because at this point, I think it's just whoever accepts the invite. But I think there's got to be like some kind of stipulation to it. Like you've had to have played this many minutes. You've had to have had this many dunks throughout the course of the season up until this point. I think if you do that, you get more people that, we've actually seen in the dunk contest that would make it a little bit more interesting.
I have a foolproof way for people to watch this dunk contest again. They need to do NBA versus non-NBA players.
Yeah, because did you watch the dunk contest yesterday?
No, I'm not.
I figured not. But so Reggie Miller was it Reggie? It was either Reggie Miller or Jamal Crawford because they were the ones announcing. They said that's what they thought the NBA was kind of. I mean, Mac McClung was in the G League, but they said that's what they thought the NBA was doing with Mac McClung, where they bring in kind of like this outsider to kind of, push everybody else to want to do it, and it didn't really work.
So like Mac McClung could do it. You could do that Jordan Clegannon guy. He's that other white dude that is like a professional dunker.
Yeah, the professional dunker. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like you bring those guys in against the NBA, now the ego is going to be bruised, because I guarantee you the first year you do it, those non-NBA players are going to win because of the style points and how good they are. But you bring the ego bruise. You're like, well, shit, now we got to represent the NBA. So now you start getting some better players in there who can dunk. You maybe do like another Aaron Gordon gets, Zach LaVine type players getting there and like back when they were dunking like that. You know what I mean? Like something like that. I think
honestly that right there ruined it for a lot of people. People saw Aaron Gordon get absolutely whored twice. and was like, yeah, we can't do this.
But people watched. That was an exciting dunk contest.
For sure.
So I think if you do something like that, you have to bring some sort of competition to it. These players are out there. I mean, did you see the game-winning dunk? I did watch that.
It was horrible.
What are we doing here? That's horrible.
Well, it's just like when I was watching yesterday, they got to the first dunk of the final between Keyshawn Johnson and Carter Bryant. Yeah. And they both did the same dunk, essentially. They both, off the bounce between the legs. But Keyshawn's was under the rim, like he went from the corner and then under the rim and did it. Carter Bryant did it in front of the rim, but Carter Bryant got the higher score. And I'm like, how do you figure? Because I'm like, coming from the corner and going under the rim between the legs, to me, is way harder than doing it in front of the rim. So how does that get more points? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, who's also judging these things? Who was the judge?
Yesterday it was I will say it was actually a legit panel of like former dunk contest winners, which is the way it should be.
Was Vince Carter in there?
Vince Carter was announcing, but like Dwight Howard, Dr. J, Brent Berry.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, were voting So
judging,
it was judging. So it was actually which is how it should be. The years that we get the random where they're like, yeah, a Drewski's gonna judge the dunk contest. Yeah, that's where we get stupid. Like I think the dunk contest should be judged by dunk contest winners, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's the foolproof way. Bring in 3-4 guys from outside the NBA, and then 3 or 4 NBA guys, and let's really battle this out and have a competition. 3-point contest is I think it's always been good. It's been the same forever, and it's always been exciting. Now you get into the actual game, the All-Star game like tonight. They got to do something, dude. This is going to be horrible. I already know it's going to be horrible.
I mean, now the one thing I would love to see with the 3-point shootout next year is, Dame joined an elite list of people that have won the contest 3 times. I need to see Steph Curry in the 3-point shootout next year. Steph and Dame in the final could be magical.
I think they should add, so they added some 4-point shots this year. I don't know how long that's actually been.
That's been going on for a little bit now.
Okay.
For the last 3 years or so. But yeah.
I think they add a half-court shot in there. Let's bring it back a little further. All these guys can really shoot. Most of the NBA players can shoot. Let's bring it back a little bit. Because, when you see Steph Curry start pulling from the logo and draining shit, that's what to me is impressive.
Let's extend the time, instead of a minute, make a minute 15 now. And let's add an extra half court rack. That's
short, longer shots. Yeah, something like that. That I would, because you make the half court shot like a 5-point shot or 6-point shot or something. I mean, you could win off that. That's like a buzzer beater. You give you give less balls, you get 2 balls to shoot or something, and that could be a buzzer beater type thing.
Yeah, kind of like how with the shooting stars they end with the half court shot.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, it was a little closer than that because I think they need to move it back. Those guys were still shooting like normal. I think they need to move it back behind the freaking half court shot, even further if they want.
You got to be a way to just make All-Star Weekend more, because this used to be such an elite weekend to watch.
It used to be
all around, and now it's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, back when Jordan and all them were still playing the late 90s, early 2000s, that was for me prime All-Star.
Well, even still growing up, even with the Kobe's and LeBron,
Kobe and LeBron and all them, sure.
It's really around that 2014 mark. Really, is kind of where the All-Star game just started.
NBA in general, I think.
Yeah,
started a decline. And
it's just Jay Williams came on the other day. It was college basketball product's better than the NBA, and I'm it's kind of been that way for at least the last 10 years now.
Long time, yeah. But I think this goes to show who's the front office in the NBA is clearly not. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Adam Silver needs to be replaced. That's my thing. I think you need to bring a new leader in here and get somebody in here who's going to make the NBA more exciting, who's going to actually make changes, because it seems like they're being too safe with the changes. The NBA is clearly on a decline. I'm sure they see numbers on it. So, get somebody in here who's going to make some smart decisions for this shit. Just let LeBron run the league after he retires. Okay? Just let him do that. He don't want to do that. He's going to be in Mexico somewhere.
He's going to be in Vegas owning a team.
Maybe him and Brady. Yeah, they got to do something. Obviously, we haven't seen the All-Star game is tonight. So. But
we'll see. It is a new format, and maybe we're just I can't see this going well. Maybe it does, but I can't see it really going too well.
Yeah. I don't know. NBA got to do something though.
I will say Wemby is kind of the only one that kind of makes you think there's a chance because he's like, I really want this All-Star game to be competitive. And I'm telling you, I think
if they start playing hard, I
think it's just going to take that one of Wemby and somebody of just saying, of just like scoring. And then even if you're not like Wemby's not really a talker, but if you really want to get this All-Star game going, if I dunk on somebody, I'm turning around and like, pushing, talking something going down court, like you can't fuck with me, something like that, and get the juices flowing. Because now you start doing that, now egos start getting into it. And it's like, all right, bro, you ain't gonna do that to me. Like,
well, the defense is the key. Everybody's gonna score. The defensive piece is the key. As soon as someone starts playing hard defense on somebody, you get a hard foul in there or something. That's when people are like, oh, we're playing like this now. That to me is like where Wemby could or an Ant could go out there and get this going. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably watch tonight. The other shit
I'm gonna watch
really
to see how it goes. But yeah,
we'll see.
All right, guys. We'll have a new format next year.
I'm sure. All right, yeah, guys. This does it for this episode of Worth the Crowd. Obviously, if you liked it, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.